incredibly important game here for CLG. And for Golden Guardians, they want to maintain upper bracket, so it's a big one for them too.
I mean, when you look at, you know, that last C9 game and how they've been doing recently, I feel like for CLG, if you're expecting that one to just be a brick wall, yeah, maybe you can win it, but it's very unlikely.
Basically have to win.
That means today and tomorrow, considering the stats that you've brought up plenty of times in the past, 95% of the time, if you don't hit 9 wins, you're never making playoffs. CLG needs today, and they need tomorrow. Those both need to show up. The Palafox Aurelion Soul has been something that's caused a lot of Monka W, but even though it hasn't won a lot, it has been just this absolute nightmare as the game scales on. So Golden Guardians banned that away along with Annie and Vi. It's Caitlyn, Jinx, and Cho'Gath banned out by CLG. Golden Guardians lock in the Thresh for Huhi before anything else.
Yeah, and that to me is screaming Aphelios. You know, I am expecting that to be grabbed up. Xayah will be the answer. There are going to be some angles for 8 and 10 tiebreakers, so that is still out there if you are a CLG fan. You can still hold out some hope, and even if they do lose today. But it'll be really exciting. I think this is kind of just a haha, you know, we just saw that previous game type of Draven hover.
That's like a haha, I forgot that championship game with Neela.
Yeah, I don't think it is actually.
I actually haven't seen Neela in so long.
I remember Berserker played it like 1 game in the LCS, I think, and that's about all we saw of it. Has not really become very popular. So the expected pick, when Thresh is prioritized that early on, you almost guarantee it's going to be Aphelios. And yeah, you're talking about that win rate for Sion, I assume. 78% win rate for Sion. It has been looking incredibly, incredibly good. And it's not even just really dominant in top lane. You know, a lot of people are talking about Senna Cho'Gath. That's a great pairing, but I've also seen Senna Sion do really well bot lane also. So I think there's even potential for more of these kind of tanks coming through. But it is going to be potentially, it is the Yone coming through here. And this is a CLG special. I like it going towards comfort when it does matter most here. This is a flex between both Palafox and Dhokla. They can both play this champion really, really well. So I do think it's not really that dangerous to actually early pick it here because they can just move it around based on the matchups.
Flexibility is so strong, particularly on red side, the side of the draft that has to go second, so your advantage should be in the nature of counter pick. I love that from CLG. I love comfort. I love flex picks. This is both for this team. Hell yeah.
Hey, I mean, if CLG just goes jungle on 4, then Golden Guardians have to lock in their final picks without really knowing where it's going to be going, right? And maybe you're saying, oh, on Golden Guardians side, maybe you want to play something like an Azir, but you're nervous because the Yone is there. Yone could still just go top into Sion and scale, right? So I do think it's really nice place to actually pick it out here in the draft. It's great follow-up for the Rakan. If you grab another kind of like diving aggressive style jungler, you have already a pretty powerful set of champions to be able to reach backline, to be able to threaten this Aphelios, because you are going to need to have some backline threat when you're going up against Thresh Aphelios.
So this is a very rare situation because this draft has, Licorice's dad in the audience today to cheer his son on in their match up against CLG. You love to see family supporting family there. But what I was getting at is this draft is very rare because neither side picked a jungler in the first 3 picks. We got the Vi ban in the first half of the draft. Second half is 3 more junglers, Gragas, Lee Sin, and Wukong. That final ban from Golden Guardians is going to focus mid lane instead. They're saying, all right, we respect the fact that Yone could go top. We do not want to face Palafox LeBlanc. We'll ban that out.
Yep, going to be taking that off the table. It is interesting because he hasn't played LeBlanc a single time so far this split, but clearly still concerned about the pick. Perhaps just thinking it has really good synergy. And there it is, jungle on 4, as kind of expected. There would be no reason to really go solo lane here. Just keep the possibility of that flex alive and potentially allow yourself to kind of have double counter pick.
Yeah, Sejuani is one of those champions that you can kind of just pick into anything. She's your standard meatball CC tank. But also, you've already got the Yone, so you know at least one of your solo lanes is melee.
Absolutely.
And Sejuani loves working with melee champions, so things seem to be set up pretty well here. Elise locked in for River and Golden Guardians, and the final pick of their draft will be the Jayce.
So it is, and if you get a tank in here, like I honestly wouldn't mind just tank top and just start stacking armor. They are potentially with this hover, you know, putting this as a top lane pick for the Yone, but this is so physical damage heavy. If you have a pure tank, there's not really a lot of ability, I think, for Golden Guardians to punch through. So I do think that could be a really potential strong answer, but they're not going to go for it. You do have the Sejuani at least, but generally junglers don't actually have enough of an income to really kind of stifle like a comp.
They're low econ.
Yeah, exactly. You just don't really have enough to threaten someone who's going too heavily towards physical. Of course, there is the Elise in there for magic damage, but when you have like an Ornn or something, it's not like the Elise is going to be able to burst her down. Either way, it doesn't really matter because it is not going to come through. It is going to be the Orianna. So Orianna plus Rakan, classic combo to be able to dive in there. They have the Sejuani for the engage. They have the Rakan for the engage. Yone to follow up as well. And it's going to be Dhokla on that Yone top here. against Licorice on the Sion. Not going to be a fun matchup for Licorice. You know, Yone can trade really well into these tanks, especially once you start getting some sustain built up. It becomes very, very difficult to actually deal with Yone. And it's one of those champions that, like, unlike Yasuo to me is one of those
Licorice is how does he get involved with the rest of the team on this pick? That's what we've seen from the better Sions in the region, from Impact, from Fudge, from these guys. They're going to use the ultis, not just getting back to lane. They're going to join up with fights. They're going to get involved in the skirmishes and help the team out.
Absolutely. You have to find some sort of an angle to have an impact on the map. The fact that he's starting Ruby Crystal here makes me wonder if we're going to get a little bit of cheese. I am wondering. You know, Ruby Crystal start, to me, usually when I see it in solo queue, I'm thinking that this guy's going to execute on a camp and actually try to get level 2.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if there is going to be some sort of a tricky start. He also isn't starting health potion, so he might actually be looking for an invade topside, and then he takes their bot side camp with an execute. I think that's what we're going to see from Golden Guardians. I could be way off, but that is my expectation. I don't know if they're crazy enough to full lane swap, but because the bot lane is still topside, but they might actually be looking for that.
Yeah, it looks like what we might get is Golden Guardians invading the red with their actual jungle in River
their own red, yeah.
and Huhi and Stixxay, and they're just saying, all right, Licorice, you don't have to risk anything. You're just going to fight our own chickens in our own red, and we're going to take theirs. Dhokla immediately jumped on here. Golden Guardians will force CLG back. They will strong-arm their way into the red buff, and now they've got more men, they've got more control, and their Sion's clearing their own
So
jungle.
this is a full lane swap. They're actually just going to fully lane swap. Licorice is going to clear bot side jungle as best he can. I think he's going to take the red, execute to it, then TP down bot at level 2, and actually going to just try to hold this. Now, the reason lane swaps have kind of completely gone out of style is because of the turret durability changes. So top lane turrets cannot really be damaged very heavily pre 5 minutes. So CLG should potentially be able to really punch through this bot side turret. But the advantage you have here doing a strategy like this as Golden Guardians is that for sure, your opponents have not practiced against this at all. And you will assume that Golden Guardians will have at least gotten a decent amount of practice in against this. You know, they've got to super keep Dhokla out of the game. Like, they have really got to punish him. So we'll see how much they can get done. At least for Dhokla, he grabs a little bit of this camp away, but Poome is going to be up here, and they're going to try to at least get Dhokla XP, because that is super, super important here.
This strategy, Emily was talking to me about it a little bit a couple of weeks ago because there was a game in the LPL, which specific game is currently escaping me, but this same strategy was done. You have the Sion at level 1, he takes 2 of the camps, he executes, and he's feeling all right just surviving in the lane swap.
Yeah.
But with Poome up here, CLG are trying to respond, but Golden Guardians just say, all right, if you bring 2, we're bringing 3, and now it's Contractz having to make his way up as well. Even with that incredibly resistant plating, they're about to lose a plate here on tier 1, but it's CLG looking to strike first. Dhokla's gonna be taken low. It's first blood back over to River, and Huhi stays alive. It'll be a 1-for-1 trade as River drops. Stixxay still trying to fight it out. Poome's at 200 HP, but a teleport's coming in. CLG's ready to punish, but Golden Guardian sidesteps. Can they get away even further? Beautiful death sentence from Huhi to get Stixxay out of the W2 from Sejuani, but now he's got to walk away as well. Gori and Palafox both under 100 health, while Stixxay keeps getting chased. He can't get one back, and CLG's got a 2-for-1 kill lead. Golden Guardian's about to lose their support, and Palafox gets the money next.
Oh my god, what a spicy start here. CLG, though, able to fight their way back into it. Dhokla was going to be completely out of this game, but now being able to actually get that XP and be gifted the kill because Poome was able to kind of just chase down Stixxay there and gift over that kill to Dhokla. So Dhokla is kind of right back into it. It's just a really interesting spot in the game, though, that we have to evaluate from.
Yeah.
Because there was no plates taken on bot side. There was no pressure put on the Sion, right? Because Poome went top side to actually defend the potential dive there. So this is such an atypical start. You know, had Golden Guardians been able to actually stop Dhokla from getting any of those kills, Dhokla would be completely out of the game. But now,
oh boy, Big Dokes gets caught by some chain CC, and that boy is spider food. River gets another one.
All right, let's evaluate. So Dhokla is going to be down on XP compared to Licorice, but because he has the kill, he's actually slightly up on gold. So it's not really as bad as it looks. When you're trying to compare where the advantages are, there's a 300 gold advantage for Stixxay on that side, and there's a 400 gold lead here for River as well. So, you know, really, the only gold lead that really matters is kind of on River, and that's on an early game champion. So I don't think CLG are that bothered by this start. I think we're going to revert into some normalcy as this game does continue on. Because plates are going to be, now fully vulnerable up on that top side. So we could actually have lane swaps to match, or potentially have Golden Guardians send their bot lane back down to lane 2v2 once again. So we'll see.
River just never stops ganking. This is what I want to see when a team locks in Elise. You do not lock in this champion to power clear your jungle. He's bouncing from lane to lane. He's always trying to intervene. He's making CLG constantly ask the question, where is he at? Let's take another look. This is all the way back, that 3v3 in the top side.
Yeah, so this is just absolute insanity here. They're pushing it heavily. They want to zone them completely off the XP, off the wave. They are pushing forward and looking for this fight, and they do get the initial kill there onto Dhokla. But look at the health on Huhi, and the Elise goes down. So now you just have this level 2 Stixxay who only has a Doran's Blade, who really can't put enough pressure on to actually finish anyone off. Poome does a really good job of actually evading out and staying alive there. And then that hook from Huhi, pulling the W from Sejuani off target, was also massive. But the eventual chase down was always going to come through here. And the fact they're able to give the kill over to Dhokla kept him in the game.
Also, bad guns there for Stixxay. Because it's so early, he still has the green gun from the start. He had already swapped off of the red one. It goes to purple next. So when you're in those AoE calamity fights, you either want red-white or you want one of those to be replaced by blue if it has to be. Unfortunately, he had the two colors that were none of those colors. So not quite the ideal situation for a fight like that, but it's hard to get the gun swapped out any faster that early, as CLG is now going to go for the first Drake of the game. They're going to get this before Rift Herald spawns. It's what we were talking with Roxa about in the previous game. It means you don't just have to handshake the neutrals, and you can also fight for that second one here in a minute or two.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we are really in just a normal game state now, but they are keeping their bot top. But now we're going to see CLG swap their bot up towards top side to be able to prepare for a fight around Herald. So there are a couple plates that have been taken down on this top lane tower. Now that we are post 5 minutes and taking full damage, they are going to be threatening even more chip. So it's looking pretty decent, but really cool start, I think, from Golden Guardians. Unfortunately, the execution, just didn't really get them that lead that they wanted. But I have to say, if that top lane 3v3 went slightly better, this game could have just been ended off of the lane swap and off of this opening. So I do think it's really cool to see that mix up.
And we were praising CLG in draft for playing comfort, playing flex. I want to praise Golden Guardians for just throwing a complete curveball at them in this week that means so much for both of these teams.
And especially when you are going to be put in one of these matchups where Yone is just going to have a free lane, he's going to be able to farm up against Sion, really be in a comfort spot to where Dhokla could then accelerate himself to get ready for these team fights and really potentially take over. So if you're worried about giving that free lane to Yone, throwing a big curveball like this, utilizing one of the strengths of the Sion that he can actually do this kind of weird jungle clear here and really put a lot of pressure on Yone is pretty great. I mean, Yone in this case ends up being about even with the Sion, but again, had he not gotten that kill, he would have been way out of this game.
Total gold on the left side of your screen. It's Stixxay and River still at the very top, but the next 4 players under him are wearing CLG colors. So Stixxay and River have to make the most as the leads that they've built for themselves. River does have the Herald started up, but Contractz is already contesting him. Contractz also level 6, very important compared to River being only level 5. So the Sejuani ulti could be a huge difference maker if we get a massive fight here. Contractz is now going to have to escape the river. Arctic Assault required for that one. Very long cooldown early on, remember. Arctic Assault has like, what, a 20-second cooldown very early on in the game?
18 seconds.
18 seconds. I was pretty close. So that means he's got to be careful for a little while. Make sure he doesn't get caught out here trying to contest this. Now they're going to walk back in, having the backup from Luger and Poome.
Yeah, absolutely. But all 10 members are up around here. Sion is still staying up. Both bot lanes are up on this top side. We could just have a massive fight break out here. It's Licorice kind of starting it off, but they're going to go in on this Sion.
They don't want to overcommit onto the meatball. We've seen this mistake so many times in the LCS. Glacial Prism hits Huhi, but there's no follow-up. Now they try to counterattack. Licorice's ulti not quite hitting the mark. Dhokla uses the Soul Unbound, but doesn't get a whole lot of damage with it. Golden Guardians has control over the Herald. Moonlight Vigil not going to find anything, but the only thing it needed was to force them back. They just make CLG step far enough away. There's no contest on the Herald, and Golden Guardians picks it up.
Yeah, nicely done by Golden Guardians there. I think really good positioning. The fact that Gori actually had that angle where if their front line hard commits in, then all of a sudden Jayce has a free angle onto your back line. And if they don't commit, then he gets free shot blast as he was actually getting from that spot. Sion was in a spot where, only person that could really commit was onto him, but a great Great hook on a Contractz.
They're ready to dive. The turret's still not down, but I don't think they care too much. Contractz is low. He's going to get eliminated. But now River gets picked up in return. It's jungler for jungler. CLG defending. Licorice needs to run. He flashes over the wall to get out. The Herald didn't take down the turret, and so they ended up taking a lot of extra damage. The turret itself still barely standing.
Yeah, it's got 170 health, I believe, there on that tower, so only a little bit left, but they couldn't finish it off, as you said, and the TP comes through. Had they been able to actually fully crack that, and the TP can't come through, they can finish it off, avoid a lot of that additional damage. Could have looked a lot better for them, but they are definitely getting aggressive here, wanting to keep that pressure on, wanting to continue snowballing this game, because there is a tremendous amount of scaling over on the other side for CLG. There are some good scaling champions here, of course, on the Golden Guardian side too. Sion is obviously great in the late game. So is the Aphelios. Yeah. But Jayce, as well as the Elise, are really much more focused towards the early stages. And the engage is so guaranteed on the CLG side. So I really prefer their comp if it comes time to 5v5 later on. And honestly, even in side lanes, I don't really think that Jayce is going to be able to contest Yone later on in the game in those side lanes. So CLG, I think, really liking their spot thus far.
I mean, we've had 7 kills in 11 minutes. That's pretty bloody by LCS standards, but there's still not even a kill's worth of gold separating the two teams, right? Golden Guardians is up a little bit over that now as it's about to be built a little bit further with Licorice knocking down the first turret of the game. That tier 1 that took such a beating because of the lane swap, because of all the damage the Golden Guardians put into it early, means Licorice can collect a payday now. They're up over 1,000 gold. It's 20 seconds until the next Drake spawns. Remember that CLG got that first one as the Glacial Prison flies out. Contractz looking for Huhi there, but I feel like that might have been a little bit audacious. There wasn't really any follow-up there. Yeah. I don't think you were really going to get a whole lot out of that ulti. It would feel a lot better to still have it if you want to contest for this upcoming dragon.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all you're getting is a chunk on the support, right? It's different if it's the Elise and you think you maybe 100-0.
Yeah.
But Luger's not there. Dhokla's not there. There's no real chance of actually being able to get any sort of 100-0 play from an Orianna at this point in the game when Orianna doesn't even have the one item completed. Generally is much more of a slow burn when you have Ori mid. So we'll see if they still want to try to contest for this. Not going to have the Sejuani ult, but they will still have that of the Rakan. And this is one of those things that's so nice about the Soul Unbound. You just push past with the Soul Unbound. He can start hitting you, but then he's missing minions, and you're still hitting that tower.
Yep. You just immediately snap back. Also with the Demolish proc, running the green tree secondary on his runes means easy chunks, easy plates. Gori's getting jumped on here. CLG forcing the flash out of the enemy mid laner, but Luger is all alone on the other side of the river. He nearly dies, but he stays alive with 100 HP. Stixxay looking to finish him off, but can't quite do it. River's at 100 HP. Contractz looks for him. The W2 is going to be sidestepped, and River is still on the run. Palafox chasing after Huhi and Stixxay as the Golden Guardians retreat. The dragon not claimed by either side. Both junglers very, very low. But it's CLG who have more health to work with still.
No kills in that fight. Are you kidding me? Luger, it looked like Luger just went in on his own there on a little bit of a solo flanking mission on Xayah. I don't know if he blast goned over or should have flashed in on top of him. But, we panned up and he's in the middle of the team by himself. And it's kind of probably wondering how I got here kind of moments.
Record scratch. Well, Dhokla's just continuing to do what he's been doing this whole time. The Yone versus the Sion. He's making sure that he's catching back up from the way that he was targeted in the early game. They were trying to keep him completely denied from EXP, keep him away from the farm, but it's fallen apart now. Let's take another look at how this started. As you can see, Gori was the initial target for most of CLG.
So watch Luger. He's over here on the side, and he just straight up blast goes in 1v3 on him, just looking for the fight. I mean, they knew that they were over there because Contractz was playing with him, so maybe just really thought he had the angle. He does force out a lot of summoners. If he forced Stixxay to flash defensively to avoid that Blade Caller, but we're back to live. It's on the dragon.
Right back to the thing we go, and River's killed before they can do anything else about it. Golden Guardians have lost their jungler. The Drake hasn't been taken out yet. It's a double kill back over to Luger, and now Stixxay drops next. CLG got exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, they got everything there. Stixxay even gale forcing in to try to finish off Luger, but that is the second time in as many fights. Luger is surviving with probably 100 health max in these last 2 fights. He lives in both of them. And Stixxay now is falling behind here. You can see Luger all of a sudden, a couple hundred gold ahead. 2 dragons now in the back pocket here of CLG. And they are finding themselves in an enviable position in this very important game in Super Week.
We said they need to win today. They need to win tomorrow. It's very, very important if they want to try to make it into the playoffs. And currently, they're playing like they're hungry. Let's see it again, how this one went down.
I mean, they don't have a true tank here to actually block, so they do get a nice little bit of chunk there down onto Poome, but Palafox coming in from one side, Contractz coming in from the other, and the engage from Contractz here was just really good. The shockwave comes through, the follow-up is there, Palafox actually setting it up, so he's really the catalyst to this fight. Credit to him on that Orianna, finding the two-man shockwave. And once they get that initial engage, two members are basically wiped off the map immediately. And you can see the frustration there. Stixxay trying to laugh through the pain a little bit, as not even being able to finish off Luger really, really hurts. Now Dhokla's gonna get first tower solo gold. So all of a sudden, top of the gold, yeah, there you go. It's 700 in the lead for Dhokla, even though they orchestrated this lane swap largely to put him down. He hasn't really had to be a part of anything because his team is just kind of winning on the other side of the map for free, and he's eventually gotten this isolated matchup against the Sion that is very beneficial for him. He's Blade of the Rune King first, which is gonna be great in that matchup as well, so he's kind of chilling.
Yeah, it's the old meme of just let me scale, guys, but the whole team just says sure NP.
Yep.
Like they're fine with it. As long as they can scale that Yone up, he's going to be so scary later on in the game. But it's CLG now looking for another neutral objective. With 2 Drakes under their belt, like you already said, remember the Golden Guardians were able to claim that first Herald, but now CLG is going to stop them from being able to get the second. So 3 out of 4 early neutral objective control, for the side of CLG feels really good on top of that 2,000 gold.
Yeah, there's already a lot of pressure, I feel like, on Golden Guardians. And when you're thinking about how does this game become winnable, it's going to have to be about picks. They need to control vision. They need to try to find hooks and cocoons from fog and try to burst people down. But if Poome and Contractz are clearing these brushes together, it is very difficult for them to actually engage on champions like that. They just don't really have the amount of damage required to really threaten these frontliners now in a 100-0 type of play. So it is going to be very, very difficult. There was 2 early kills a long time ago for River, which kind of got him the early Sork boots, but he hasn't been able to really make anything happen since then. It's actually Sejuani that's in a good spot, but oh my god! As
This play brought to you by Grubhub. Make sure that it gets there right on time every time.
That's a ward. That's a ward play right there. That is that ward getting them the kill, because he actually soul unbound from on top of that ward right on your screen now that the observers are showing us. And so that is why River was actually over that wall. Dhokla is doing what is actually a really common play where you soul unbound over the wall, drop a pink, and then snap back. And that is how you get vision in the river. Generally considered to be really safe, how you get vision in the river.
Right.
But when you come over that wall, you're spotted on a ward that you don't know about, straight into the waiting arms of a cocoon. That's one of the guys that can still burst. Between Gori and Elise, that is a lot of damage, and they get a freebie.
And remember, you can snap back as soon as the CC ends, but it has to end, and unfortunately...
Oh, he snapped back.
Yeah.
It was just in a gray screen.
Yeah, that was not what they wanted to do there, but you can see what he was going for. Dhokla now 1 and 3 on the Yone, but he does have his Blade of the Ruin King completed. You can see the Noon Quiver in the inventory, building towards the Mythic as well. Going up against Sion, you know this guy is going to have a minimum of 4,000 HP. Blade of the Ruin King, very good purchase.
Yeah, absolutely. And just having lifesteal in general against tanks is so high value. Because tanks can't really threaten any sort of 100-0 plays generally in these kind of matchups. They have to sort of just chip and poke you down over time. And what you can do once you have lifesteal is just full heal off the wave and then ignore the tank, hit the tower in their face, they do some damage to you, and then guess what? You full lifesteal back to full again on the next wave. And you just kind of rinse and repeat that. Where Sion has to fight the wave, you get to fight the tower and the Sion. And he just kind of has to take the L.
So we've got a tale of 2 tiers here in the mid lane. The tier fully charged for Palafox, but he does not have it upgraded into the Archangel staff that will become Seraph's Embrace. But over for Gori, he's already got the Manamune, but he does not have it fully stacked into the Muramana just yet. Still needs about 60 more on that one. So both these guys going for that scaling mana item second, I believe, but not quite there for either one just yet. Still a 1,000 gold lead for the side of CLG. Shrunk down a little bit from the nearly 2,000 that it was before, but they're still feeling really good with about 30 seconds to go before this next Drake spawns, though, and it's Golden Guardians with control over the bot side river.
Yep, looking like they are going to be trying to fight for this. They know they can't allow CLG to just snowball towards Soul. They already got the first 2 very, very easily. But CLG looking like they're going to want to fight for this as well. They have Herald, so you just drop Herald mid, draw pressure from Golden Guardians to answer that, and then you move into the river and start to actually look for that pressure. So I think that's the play we're going to see here.
All right.
Herald going to get dropped over the wall and is going to be able to get that charge off guaranteed.
Yeah, it walks close enough. Huhi tried to pull it out of the way with the death sentence, see if maybe they could keep it slightly off, but it doesn't work out. Luger's now the target. Stixxay goes right in on him. Luger's still being brought low as Contractz nearly killed on the other side. They both survive. What on earth? Stixxay not able to get the kill on Luger, just barely. He had to have 20 health left.
Yeah, Stixxay, that is 3 times now. That has been like 1 auto of health on Luger, and those are those plays that can really start to get in your head, start to frustrate you. Because if you get that first kill, guess what? You get the second and the third kill, because you would have had that extra longsword, which would have got it for you. And that's really frustrating in that spot. But well played, honestly, on both sides. Stixxay doing a good job anticipating that E coming through from the Xayah, the pullback on the feathers to actually Gale Force up. There was the responsive Gale Force up from Luger as well to try to get that direction, but couldn't actually land it.
The important thing is, even though it can be frustrating to miss the kill, they got both the tier 1 turret as well as stopping the soul stack from CLG. So Golden Guardians are happy about the way that turned out. Dhokla utilizing that Fate Seal to get himself away. Yone defensive ulti. As long as nobody can step in front of it and make you shortcut your own movement, very effective.
Yep, absolutely. And River just flashed over the wall there trying to, I'm not sure if he's trying to anticipate a flash or trying to actually get in front himself, but here it is, that play again. Luger, you know, the Gale Force up, the response Gale Force, then the flash back behind the feathers there from Stixxay. Well played on both sides. Yeah,
single digit health.
That is so tilting, I'm not gonna lie. Those are the plays that, for me personally, get me more than anything. Because I can't get it out of my head that, well, if I got that last one, I would have got this one. If I got this one, I would have got that. You know what I mean?
Like, come on.
Yeah.
8 HP.
It's snowballing in the wrong direction on these fights, but that is the way the game goes sometimes, and that is why a lot of people love talking about itemization, because itemization can make the difference in these small encounters, absolutely. We can see now Luger already has the Navori done, so he is out to a nice little lead here. Stixxay is going to have some golden pocket, but not quite done.
Licorice ready for the engage here. Decimating smash onto Palafox, but Contractz is the target. Death Sentence pulls him back underneath the turret, but they still don't have the damage to kill him. Stixxay's going to grab it now, and he's traded for River. 1 for 2 as Dhokla dies. Stixxay's going to be taken out next. It'll be a 2 for 2. It's a bloodbath here in the mid lane as Gori's still off to the side. CLG's got more health overall. Licorice nearly dead, has to retreat. And the tier 1 turret falls in mid lane. CLG back to a 1,000 lead.
Yeah, they're able to get that. Gori won a 1v1 kind of fight, it looks like, on the side against Dhokla. He's able to take him down. But again, Stixxay falling here once more. Does now have the IE completed. But this fight significantly in the favor of CLG. And congratulations to Stixxay, I believe 6th all-time, the graphics said, now in the kills. So we can watch this once more. Jayce coming up, you know, from that bottom side. Poome here, the TP's coming in, and Gori's just kind of camping out on it, waiting for the TP to arrive. Does throw a Shock Blast out, but then just has this 1v1. W is already popped, then goes melee and just claps Dhokla, honestly, in that 1v1. But they lost their AD on the other spot. Dhokla, not so happy about that result. Don't think he expected to lose that 1v1 that hard, especially when you see the Empowered Shock Blast is actually spent before you arrive. But really all he needed was the W in range for him for the additional, you know, attacks, the faster attack speed, and then went melee and just crushed him.
I always love the animation when he does that, because it's supposed to be he just pops off 3 shots real quick in range. But when you do it melee, it's just Jayce losing his mind, swinging his hammer around like a maniac. It's one of my favorite.
Full barbarian.
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic. But he does have the Muramana fully evolved now. Seraph's Embrace ready to go on Palafox too. Serrated Dirk in the inventory of Gori. And as he starts building up more lethality, this is where things are going to start getting scarier and scarier for everybody not named Sejuani. Those shock blasts are about to wreck any health bar that doesn't hit the piggy.
And he's got to be someone who's actually, you know, finding those correct targets, because they don't have the greatest front to back, I don't think, right now. You know, Stixxay's still not in the best position, so it's going to be a lot on Gori to kind of be that X factor, him and River, to find those chunks on the squishy targets. It's also worth noting, I actually really like this build from Poome. He goes for the tank mythic here. You know, he is really, really strong going Radiant Virtue, because he actually got a lot of early gold. You know, he has some kills, he got a lot of assists. You know, he can go towards that more easily. So they are playing double Radiant Virtue now, which is going to mean in a team fight between him and Contractz, that is going to be a tremendous amount of healing that really can shift things and may actually force a little bit of heal cut to be purchased.
And I like the fact that he's adapting to that early gold like you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
If you end up being the guy who gets the money, it's a long-standing meme in League of Legends. Oh, support just KS's the money. Cool, I got my boots. Well, the cool part is being able to adapt and be more relevant like you're talking about, especially on somebody like Rakan, who's already a big playmaker. You've got to dive in the middle. Radiant Virtue's extra tankiness, the healing that you're talking about. with how close these fights have been, could be the difference between life and death.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really effective on a lot of supports, but you don't often see people buying it simply because often supports are pretty starved for gold, right?
Right,
they
yeah.
just need to kind of scrape together whatever components they can get. But if you got a little bit of extra gold in the pocket, go right for it. He's already got CDR components, so he's going to be looking good. Also very difficult to burst him down, even if he goes in on that engage and gets hooked up or something like that. You know, he does have a lot of additional tankiness there that is going to make it difficult for them to really get something done. But 25 seconds about here until this next dragon is spawning, and we'll see what the setup is going to look like. CLG kind of first to move down towards that bot side river to try to establish some control.
Palafox dodging away from the empowered shock blasts of Gori. Golden Guardians setting up their spot and their vision around the Baron pit here. You can see that Dhokla snapped over the wall, cleared the ward, auto-attacks the Baron once, and then snaps back. That way Baron's pissed off, and if Golden Guardian steps into the pit, then they're going to take the auto-attacks from Baron. It's just a way to get some nice, easy harass down there. But Golden Guardians, they're going to sidestep away from the Arctic prison of the Sejuani, and that means that they're chilling right now. They know that one of those big engage mechanisms is down, but they still got to be aware of Poome.
Yeah, Poome has such a good flank here. As long as he stays safe on his own, doesn't get engaged on, he can always threaten that hard engage. I don't think there's a realistic chance that they can actually do this, but they clearly just want to force fights. They don't want to give CLG more time because they know CLG has such strong scaling, so they're going to try to force a confrontation here. But the positioning is too good from Poome. Unless you can actually catch him and kill him off on the other side, you can never commit to a fight on the bot, or Poome is going to crush you on the engage. So Golden Guardians are just going to have to leave.
Very, very nice positioning from the side of CLG, particularly to Poome, for guaranteeing there is no safe way for Golden Guardians to do this. Remember, Chemtech Rift means those blast cones go really far. You're going all the way across the river, landing next to the Scryer plant, so Poome recognizes he needs to back away here. River wants to go back into the pit, clear out some of the vision placed down by CLG. This whole time, Dhokla and Luger were on the other side of the map getting the Drake, and that's sole point for CLG.
And this is why these kind of like threatened Baron trades never really work, to be honest. It's so rare to see them work these days, you know. Sometimes it's your only option when you don't feel like you can fight for the dragon. You kind of have to go up there and hope that your opponents make a mistake and get a pick, maybe make something happen. But it's so easy to send one member to actually solo out the Drake while the others mark the Baron take. And it's pretty difficult to pull it off, even if it is a 5v4 up there, because it's usually the team that's in a disadvantageous position that's even looking for that potential Baron take.
Dhokla still farming up on Yone, has his second item completed. It's lifesteal on top of more lifesteal. Immortal Shield Bow always feels really good on the Wind Brother champions just because you get that sort of baby Sterix that lets you go in and look for your O10 power spike, even if you don't get it, as Poome gets chunked down by Gori, who is just not afraid on this Jayce. Has the Serpent's Fang completed as item number 3. You're going to have shields on Yone, shields from Rakan, shields from Orianna. There's a lot you can cut with that.
I'm not going to lie, if that was a Shirelia's Rakan, he probably dies. Yeah, I think that actually might be the difference. You know, it's a couple hundred extra health plus all of the additional armor that's on there. You know, 200 extra health, 30 extra armor. So potentially could have actually died had he gone for a different build in that situation. You know, Poome is actually pretty darn tanky, so Jayce can still flex on some of these squishy champions for sure. But it's just going to be difficult to get access to them. And Contractz not going towards a Warmog second, which surprised me a little bit, but looking for the ulti here. Nice repel.
He repels, but he's going to repel right back down onto the ball. Palafox was ready with a follow-up shockwave, and now River's killed off at the very start. Palafox flashes away. Dhokla's ready to protect him. Golden Guardians seeing if there's anything they might be able to get back here. The Elise has reached the point of the game where she is no longer the apex predator in the jungle. It is kind of scary in these situations, even if he repelled away from the glacial prison. CLG had the follow-up.
Yeah, I mean, unless Elise has an angle to get onto a backline, then you can really start to threaten something. Nice little sidestep from Luger. They're going to turn it around!
Poome's ready to go, and Stixxay flashes and still dies. Luger now looking for more. Gori's got to flash away next. Licorice, Huhi, and Gori all trying to get away. River not alive for another 5 seconds. CLG seeing their moment. Poome snapping in with both summoner spells ready to go. And they find what they were looking for. Now they're going to teleport right back in with Dhokla. Teleport right back in with Palafox. It's a 5-man CLG Baron play as Licorice goes over the wall with a blast cone. Poome could potentially get caught out here, but the other blast cone's going to get him right back to safety. River's nowhere near for a steal, and now Dhokla is going to apply more pressure to Huhi. He has to snap back as the timer runs out, but CLG just grabbed control of this game.
Yeah, this one is completely out of control there. Great initial sidestep from Luger, and then just walks back towards Poome, which gives him the ability to just battle dance on over to him, look for that hard engage, finds it. They go in, they get that initial kill. And River was already off the map, so it is an easy follow-up on that play. You know, Luger already on the 3-item series. He was basically a full item up here on Stixxay at this point. Great sidestep initially, and then E towards Luger. Straight in with the ulti-W on towards Stixxay. CC's him up, they burst him down, and it's just full-on retreat here. They take the Baron as well, and it is Soul in a minute 30 here for CLG. So Golden Guardian's time in this game is quickly running out. And the nerve's definitely going to be hitting a little bit harder now. You know, these are important games. You want to stay upper bracket, and you want to be making sure you are definitely qualifying for playoffs. So these are really important games on both sides, but it's CLG in the massively better position right now.
Such a difficult game to play out as Golden Guardians from this point, up against the Xayah, who's now got the 3 completed items, plus the last Whisper for just the additional armor penetration there in that 4th slot. That's going to help a lot, punching through the Sion in the front lines, who's always going to be trying to target him and get in the way. You can see Stixxay having now completed his own Bloodthirster. Maybe this will help him survive a little bit better, but it's so difficult for him to be able to go in there when you know he's going to be targeted by Rakan engages, when you know he's going to be targeted by Yone, any possible chance.
I mean, we haven't even seen Yone interact with him yet, and he's still getting, you know, burst down, CC down. It's difficult. You have got to position really well here on the Aphelios. Sure, you have Cleanse, sure, you have Thresh, but they're constantly pressuring him here and overlapping CC, you know, having that hard engage that feels pretty much guaranteed. Does make it really, really difficult because they kind of know he's the only real threat. Like, unless Gori can just walk up on one of these squishy carries, which he can't, no one else can really threaten them anymore. So they just have to put all pressure on Stixxay. And even if Stixxay survives, if he's running from the fight, it's a winning fight for CLG.
CLG with control over the enemy jungle leading towards the objective. They've still got Baron for another 45 seconds. The Drake Soul spawns in 5, and so they're just going to have most of their players walk over there while Dhokla tries to maintain a little bit of pressure here in mid. Uses the Q3, snaps back. There it is, fate sealed. And the fate of the Drake is what we're talking about, because as Dhokla draws all the pressure, CLG collects the prize. Chemtech Soul for them, and that means extra damage and extra survivability below half health. So these close fights we've been getting all game are about to be a little less close.
Yeah, all those times Luger's living with 1 auto, he's going to be doing max damage now. So
hell yeah.
It's going to be really tough to deal with him. We keep seeing Gori get these chunks onto Poome, but it's just not really resulting in too much. And CLG now moving forward very boldly here, even just committing the shockwave onto Licorice for a little bit of a chunk.
Okay, Glacier Prison doesn't find any targets there. Contractz not grabbing anybody with that one, but hey, it's no big deal. They're just going fishing. Use it, see who you can find. If you hit somebody, great. As long as they're not Sion, we'll take them out. If you miss, whatever, just try again in a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they're not really being pressured at all. And it's going to be up to Golden Guardians to see if they can find something to really flip this game on its head, but it's just so heavily favored towards CLG. Dhokla, if he needs to, he can ult out. It just came up, so he's going to be able to even save the summoner there. Gets out of dodge, no problem. Should be a lot of gold being built up here on Luger as well, so he's going to be closing in on the LDR. A lot of players completing items here, you know, on the CLG side. And death cap being done for Ori, plus already has hit level 16 a while ago. Means that even Ori can kind of threaten that 100-0 type play on these squishy members now.
So, I mean, what's the move for Golden Guardians? Do you even have a move, or is it just hope that they screw up?
I mean, I think realistically, like if you're trying to play it out really seriously, you try to control vision in the area, and you hope the wrong person face checks in, and you can burst them down. I think that's your only real recourse from this position. I think any fight where CLG sees you coming at them is pretty much unlosable for CLG. So Golden Guardians, you try to overlap one side, you try to find pockets of vision, you know, have your Jayce, your Elise, your Thresh stacked in a brush, see if you can get a 100-0 play. It's only real chance. But even if you get those picks, they have Soul and they have a 6,000 gold lead, so you would need so many of them. And then even after getting a bunch of those to delay the game, you probably then have to somehow find a way to get the Elder, and then maybe you can have a realistic way back into the game.
Yeah, CLG with Dhokla in the side lane. That's one of the areas the Golden Guardians was looking to make a play. Licorice disengaging top as CLG makes the move for him. Sion's ulti just buffering through the CC and then immediately stopping. Golden Guardians now have enough men in position to defend this tier 2 turret. There is 1 minute left until the Baron spawns, and I feel like that's gotta be just about the herald of the end of the game because of the fact that CLG should get it for free. They're 6,000 gold up, they've got a soul, then you just walk it in.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see if Golden Guardians even want to walk out of their base for that, or if they're just going to kind of turtle it up, hope they can make some sort of a play. Utilizing those inhibitor towers, trying to find some sort of an overdive that they can punish from CLG. But it is going to be very, very tough. You know, there's not really any sort of great play that they can go for from this point. So you've got to just pick whatever looks best to you and take a swing at it. Because you can see they don't even have really any vision out on the map. You start looking out, and it becomes very, very difficult. Even their topside jungle, they really only have this very kind of preliminary line of vision, nowhere close to even the river, let alone the Baron. So getting out there to challenge is just such a big ask.
Well, River on this Elise, he had a nice early game, but currently 2-5-3, has not been able to find the same success after we moved into the mid-game, late-game phases, after we moved into the bigger team fight.
Yeah.
Elise's weaknesses have been at the front of things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really, really tough. When you're playing up against these kind of compositions, if you aren't snowballing, it's so difficult. So Golden Guardians are going to move out, but look at Poome's positioning on the side. So hard to get in. Dhokla finds River.
That's all he had to do. Just keep Elise away. Make it so there's no sort of a chance that you lose this objective. Licorice flashing out. Contractz falling back to the rest of the team, and now CLG's ready to re-engage. Licorice is tanky enough to live, but only for now. Dhokla? Okay, Yone. Anyway, we've got CLG wearing Baron, and now all they gotta do is regroup and get ready for the push. There's still 2 minutes before the Elder Drake spawns. CLG is gonna have Baron all the way up through that spawn, and it means they can control the whole rift and have the fight they want for the Elder.
Yeah, and that is going to make it even more difficult now for Golden Guardians. So they decide they want to move in on the Baron pit. But again, it's the positioning from Poome fighting on that flank. You can't hard commit to the pit, because if you do, you're going to get crushed by the flank every single time. They don't have really much of an ability to do anything about it. Now, you can see Yone hitting that late game stage. That is half of the HP off the Sion in one quick trade under tower through his shield. And that's what it can look like if you let it get to these late stages.
Yeah.
He has had all the time in the world to farm. Nice little force of the Gale Force there. Contractz only using his Q, didn't even have the ulti. And that Gale Force is quite a long cooldown and very precious for Stixxay at this point, who's really their only realistic chance of making something happen.
And I love the fact that they're just looking for that. They're saying, look, we have no wave, we're not gonna be able to do anything real here, but any resource we get off of him makes the real fight later feel a lot better. Contractz leading the charge. There's the cleanse from Stixxay. That's all they're doing. You walk Sejuani up, you make Stixxay spin to cooldown. This is what you taught me about MMO PvP. You trade your crappy cooldown for their good cooldown, and eventually you win.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing really does apply in League, where it's trading of resources, it's trading of sides of the map, it's trading of cooldowns. These things are where you can carve out small advantages, and if you can spend a shorter cooldown for a longer one, you're almost always going to come away positive from that trade. And I love how Contractz is playing it, because first one, he Qs in, he's immediately turning around to get back. He already got the Gale Force. This time, he gets the cleanse immediately. It's not like he's even queuing in to follow up. He's just going to throw the ulti and back it up, because he knows if he doesn't cleanse it, they can follow up. So, getting those resources out, really nicely done. Stixxay will buy a stopwatch, which is something, but it's just so hard to imagine he gets enough space to actually make something happen in a team fight, because really all CLG has to do is pressure Stixxay, and there's no consistent damage.
Gori just died solo to Dhokla back in the mid lane, off screen. This is a problem. All CLG has to do now is just dance back and forth with Golden Guardians, and Dhokla will win the game. Golden Guardians, the pressure on them just doubled with Gori dying in that 1v1. You said it earlier, you favor Yone as the game goes forward versus Jayce in that solo matchup in a side lane scenario, and that just showed off why. Dhokla giving his team a 5v4 for still 30 seconds from now. Stixxay's already dead. There's the trade of cooldowns. There's the superior resources left to spend. Golden Guardians have already lost 2 more, and Luger doesn't think that's enough. Huhi and Licorice are trying to escape, but Poome's coming around from the corner to try to cut him off. Dhokla's ready to go. They don't want Yone taking the turret. As soon as somebody else has turret, that's when you go in, and that's when Huhi goes down. Poome leads the charge, and a teleport onto the cannon minion to try to keep it alive, tanking up the turret. Licorice knocks it away, so they'll at least target the others, but now he's stuck running back into the fountain. Luger, unstoppable. CLG looking to end the game right now. Licorice's dead body won't even be able to rampage through him. Dhokla resets his position back onto the fountain, unfortunately, but CLG still has so much time. 10 seconds on Stixxay and River. CLG don't even care. They're trying to pad the stats and get another one on Gori, and there's the execution. CLG, we said they had to win it, and they won it. They'll take down Golden Guardians.
CLG kick off Super Week in a huge way here, taking down Golden Guardians, moving to 8 wins. which greatly helps them in this playoff race here. CLG really trying to at least get 2 wins this week. They got a big one here today. They have a very, very difficult remaining strength of schedule that they are actually looking against, because we know they have Cloud9 on Sunday.
Right.
That is a really big hill to climb. So they had to get a win here, and they're going to have to try to get a win tomorrow against Liquid, who is also surging. But if CLG are able to do it, then you've taken down some of your playoff competition on your way into the playoffs, and you can really regain some of that confidence that they had in those earlier weeks when they had been looking at their absolute best.
It was a good strategy from Golden Guardians in the beginning